The first time in as many years as I can remember, top lane has officially entered being the second most picked lane at low rank. At Iron Plus, meaning every single rank in the game, top lane, for the first time in God knows how long, is no longer the most picked lane. Instead, it is the second most. In addition to that, at a mere, are we here? Yes, at Gold Plus, it has fallen to being the third most picked lane. At Platinum Plus, top lane has fallen to being the fourth most picked lane. In other words, top lane is no longer being picked. It is, for all intents and purposes, despite having the largest player base, it is becoming the second least picked role, second only to support. In fact, many times it has traded at the high ranks at Masters Plus, it has traded with support as to which role is actually being picked less. That could be because top lane is unpopular. It could be because people can't climb with top lane. The problem is top lane is a dying role. In order to talk about how this has happened, it has not happened because of one change. It did not happen because of only the teleport nerf. It did not happen because of only one thing. You might have noticed my list. I have written a great list here. I have tried to be as impartial as possible. I have asked many people, and I have constructed this list over a week now. This is every nerf that I believe has contributed towards top lane's increasing uselessness over the last 4 to 5 years, but primarily over the last 2 to 3 years, which is when top lane's popularity has started to wane so hard. In order to defend every single item on the list, I have prepared a tab showing the nerf, and then I will defend how this nerf has impacted top lane negatively. This video will take a while. In many of my videos, I will try to shorten them. I will try to talk less in order to get people through the video in a shorter amount of time, but this time around, I'm not going to do that. This is partly for the shock value, and it is partly just to show the sheer absurdity. Many of these nerfs, many of these changes, even I forgot happened. These are things that even as I was compiling this list, I thought to myself, they didn't nerf Gargoyle Stoneplate. I don't think that happened. To which I remembered, oh, they actually nerfed it twice, in fact. So these are changes that have directly, and I mean directly, contributed towards top lane scaling worse, having less impact on the game, and being overall less powerful. Let's go over them now. And I will take as long as I need to go over this. First up, we have precision runes. These runes are things that every top laner takes. For the most part, every top laner takes precision runes if they are a bruiser. Tanks will go into resolve runes, which we go over second. Unfortunately, we have seen nerfs to Triumph, Legend Alacrity, Legend Tenacity, and Legend Bloodline in ways that directly make top lane worse. How? In order to remind people, I will now be going over every single nerf. Starting with Triumph. Triumph got nerfed in patch 12.10 from 10% missing health to 12%, or sorry, from 12% missing health to 10% missing health. Now, you could argue that was done due to the durability update, you could argue that was done due to the higher health pools on champions, but the overall effect was it was nerfed. This rune had not been changed since Season 7, and then in Season 12 was nerfed. If your argument was that it was nerfed because we removed 60% healing debuffs, that would not matter, because in Season 7, 60% healing debuffs did not exist. Triumph was weaker than it had ever been during the 60% healing debuff time period. In addition to that, there was another nerf in Season 13.5, where it was changed to not heal as much if you were at lower HP. Once again, this was a rune that had existed unnerfed since Season 7. For 6 years, this rune had existed. You could argue that this nerf, once again, was equaling out to the durability patch increasing people's health. Unfortunately, This nerf did not have anything to do with the durability patch. This second nerf had absolutely nothing to do with that. Every single top laner who went to Triumph, which is like 90% of them, now scales worse. They now team fight worse. They now 1v2 worse. They now 1v1 worse. They can now turret dive to less ability. To be blunt, this, although it might not have been a big nerf, the point of the changes that I'm going over is despite none of these nerfs on their own being a very large nerf, they have all contributed. They have all amounted to something. That something is that top lane is useless, that nobody wants to play it anymore. Second up, we have Legend Tenacity. Legend Tenacity has two nerfs. Some of you might not even remember the first nerf. Back in Season 10, it was changed. The points per minion kill was reduced to 4 from 5. This made it take longer to stack up. For no other reason than Riot got bored, I guess, they changed it to scale slower. Back in Season 8, they buffed it from 20% to 30% tenacity because bruisers were struggling. So Season 8, Season 9, Season 10, Season 11, Season 12, for 5 years, it was 30% tenacity. It was nerfed in how quickly it could scale, but it gave 30% tenacity. In Season 13, they decided that was overpowered, actually, and it should be 20% tenacity again. Bruisers don't have an option, and I will go into how actually their other option, if you're thinking of that one. Some of you might not remember that one. And because of this, every bruiser fighting into a CC comp now has less tenacity.
I trust the light is
tenacity being at 30% meant that Riot felt free. They felt okay with buffing things like the duration of Fiddlestick Sphere, buffing the Morgana Q to have less cooldown. They felt okay with reducing Polymorph's cooldown. They did eventually nerf its duration, but they had originally done all these things because bruisers had 30% tenacity. Now, obviously, it is significantly harder. This change alone has made it significantly harder for a top lane to carry. It is harder to survive through a team fight when you have less tenacity. It is harder to dive successfully when you have less tenacity. It is harder for many champions like Shyvana, like Darius, like anyone in top lane who goes tenacity because they need it. Every one of these champions now has a harder time carrying the game. And again, I'm not saying that this single-handedly ruined top lane. I am saying that all of these combined, and as you just watch this, and I assure you, Legend Alacrity. Now, Legend Alacrity only got the nerf where the points per minion kill was reduced from 4 to 5. However, this does mean that if you go Legend Alacrity on a top laner, you will have less attack speed for the early to mid game. That's just true. That's just right there. Season 7 it was added. In Season 10 it was randomly nerfed. That's it. Legend Bloodline. Now, Legend Bloodline was nerfed multiple times. You might remember that Legend Bloodline was a sparingly useful rune on bruisers. Not used all the time, but it was sparingly used. In Season 9, it was used frequently on champions like Aurelia, like Olaf, who could get kills, who could farm perfectly, who could do things like that. When the stacks were increased to 20 from 10, but the amount of lifesteal was increased, champions like Olaf, due to his inherent ability to drain tank, champions like Aurelia, because of her Q, were using Legend Bloodline in order to be stronger. This was nerfed in Season 10, making it harder to stack, and then it was nerfed again in Season 10 to have a maximum of 9% lifesteal instead of 12%. Even though this nerf was aimed at AD carries, it did mean that champions like Olaf, champions like Aurelia scaled worse now because they had to go into the other rune choices, which were often considered inferior for them. Olaf doesn't want Legend Alacrity that much. Attack speed is not that useful on him because he already has so much. And so Olaf now scales worse. Even if you argue that these champions are fine, that they still scale well enough, the fact is, the point is, the thing I'm trying to make is that once again, we have a nerf that reduced some top laners' ability to scale. Resolve runes, Second Wind. Second Wind was nerfed because they increased the amount of health, armor, and magic resist that champions had. The base heal was reduced from 6 to 3. Now, while once again, you can argue that the durability patch made that this needed to happen, once again, we've entered a situation where top lane now has to pick more early game runes. They now have to pick more early game options in order to stay alive. Whereas in the past, you could go Dorn's Shield and Second Wind, and for the most part, you could survive pretty much all ranged champions. Now that alone is no longer good enough. We've seen that many top laners no longer have ranged choices available, or I should say late game choices available against ranged champions. Champions like Jace, like Kennen, like Quinn, who themselves have been buffed because Second Wind Dorn Shield existed. They were buffed because of that. They now trample over choices for top lane that we're relying on Second Wind Dorn Shield to survive. Up next, we have conditioning. People might not remember conditioning here. Conditioning was nerfed. I'm not even talking about this one, back in Season 10. So in Season 7, it was added. In Season 9, it was buffed. In Season 10, it was then nerfed. So the bonus resistance time was increased to 12 minutes from 10. While you might argue once again that this was done because of the low ranks, because their games tend to go on longer, the problem is at the high ranks, conditioning has, outside of some uses on Cosante, conditioning has ceased to be a relevant choice ever again. This means that the ability for top laners to pick a scaling option into easier lanes went away, meaning that top laners are once again forced into non-scaling options like Second Wind just to try to win lane, because 12 minutes ended up just being that break point. It just was too long to not have a rune choice. Now, in the durability update, it was nerfed, and then in Season 12, it unfortunately was nerfed again. You might not remember that one either. So Season 10, it was nerfed. Now, I'm going to exclude this one because this was a durability update, so I'll say fair is fair. But then in Season 12, it was nerfed again. So once again, we have a late game scaling option, an option that was there for bruisers to scale better. And now they can't have that option because effectively, Season 10 removed it from the high rank, and Season 12 basically removed it from most champions in the game.
What can I do for you?
Let's see here.
Unflinching. This is the second option. You might be thinking, well, if Legend Tenacity was nerfed, you still have Unflinching, right? Unfortunately, Unflinching was nerfed back in Season 12.
We now have grapes.
It was reduced, instead of 10 to 30% tenacity and slow resist, it was nerfed to 5 to 25% tenacity and slow resist. At max HP, that literally reduced the amount of tenacity and slow resist you had by half. To be clear to everybody, it does count the tenacity and slow resist from when you are hit, not after you are hit. So this means if a Lux roots you at full HP, you do not get the tenacity as if you were half HP afterwards. This means effectively this does nothing if you were full health comboed. Now if you say to yourself, well, if you're full health comboed, blah, 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 the point is that Unflinching went from a decent choice for tenacity and slow resist to, well, shoot, because the other tenacity choice got nerfed really hard too. So you can go with the nerf choice for tenacity or the other nerfed choice for tenacity. So Unflinching existed for 2 years in this state. Legend Tenacity existed for 5 years in that state. Then randomly in Season 12, they were decided, they were optioned into being nerfed for no other reason than Riot just got bored, I guess. Up next, we have Overgrowth. Now, Overgrowth went through many different iterations, but I would consider the current version of Overgrowth to still be a nerfed version of it. What do I mean by that? Overgrowth was added in Season 8, then, unfortunately, in Season... it was added in Season 7, then in Season 8, it was nerfed really hard. Instead of you gaining instead of you getting 0.2% max HP, it was changed to 3 flat. Now, while it only did exist for 1 year in this state, it still did exist for 1 year in this state. A state where it had scaling percent max HP increase. This meant that tanks and bruisers had an option where they could slot a rune choice in for a very, very high scaling rune choice, much like Gathering Storm, but for health pools. Unfortunately, this was removed, and then it was eventually buffed up later in Season 9, but we see today that it's often not worth the choice, and people will have to opt in to unflinching just because it does something, which doesn't seem like a great option. You have to go the nerfed rune because the other rune got nerfed even harder. And that's kind of the point I'm trying to get across in a lot of these changes too. You're going with the nerfed option because the other option was nerfed even harder. And that's a lot of what bruisers feel like right now. Do I go with the crappy option or the crappier option? Well, I'll go with the crappy option, and then Riot says, oh, well, look, they're going with the crappy option. That must mean it's good. It's not good, it just means all the other options are even worse. Bone plating. Now, while we could argue, and I do agree that bone plating was probably nerfed, not just for bruisers, not just for top laners, not just for tanks, but for everybody. The point is, the lane that uses it the most was top lane. While it could be used bot, while it could be used mid, it was most often used in top lane on average. And when we look at these nerfs,
need help?
After the durability update, its cooldown was increased to 55 from 45. Now that was done for pro play bloodiness.
Congratulations.
To make pro play have more kills.
Keeping Elwyn
to make
safe
defensive
is no what with
play
most the
even
army
harder.
busy doing who knows what, for who knows which noble.
It's hard to keep track of politics in these dark days.
The mine in Northshire isn't the only
So,
one with problems. I have
In
reports
Season
that the
8,
Fargo
it was
Deep Mine
added. In
Elwyn
Season
has also
9, it
become a
was
haven for
buffed a little bit.
kobolds.
Then in
Explore the
Season
mine and
12, it
confirm
became
these reports.
overpowered.
Then return to me. The mine is almost due south of Goldshire, between the Stonefield and McClure homesteads.
Okay, I guess.
The kobolds in these parts sometimes
So another
carry gold
option in
dust
order to
on
play
them.
safe
I
top
could
lane,
really
another
use the stuff.
option was nerfed.
Bring me a load of it,
Talking
and I'll
about
give you the
playing
best
safe
price
in top
town.
lane and those
Best
options
price
being
in
nerfed,
town.
up next
You
we
can
now
find
have
kobolds in the
Biscuit.
Fargo Deep Mine to
Biscuit
the
has
south
been nerfed so
and
many
around the
times and
Jasper
so
Road.
hard
Rest and
that
relaxation.
I'm glad
don't
you've
really
arrived.
think that I need to spend that much time on this thing here. I think everybody will remember it. It was nerfed from 15% missing HP to 10%. It was nerfed to not sell for 30 gold, but instead to sell for 5 gold. Then it was nerfed again to have the mana nerfed from 50 total mana to 40 total mana. Back in Season 12, again, which I find surprising. Season 12 seems to be when Riot nerfed and hunted down every option to try to play safe in top lane, seemed to be getting hunted down and massacred by Riot. They found them in the woods, they rode on their horse, they chased after them, and they shot every option to play safe in top lane with a bow, which meant that playing late game champions in top lane became a crapshoot, and it meant that trying to survive and scale in top lane became unreliable, which meant that top laners had to play earlier and earlier and earlier game picks, which means that top lane scales worse and worse and worse. And that's something I want to get across with these nerfs, because these set of nerfs are really going into that fact. You have to consider, here for a second, if everyone can play safe, then you'll choose a late game option, correct? I think everyone would agree with that. If you could get through bot lane, guaranteed that you could reach late game, then you will pick the hardest scaling option to have the most impact. In top lane, the opposite is true. You can no longer get through the lane in a safe way. Okay? So the problem by hunting down and eliminating all these options is we are seeing very little late game picks actually ever being picked in top lane anymore. And instead, we are seeing lane bully, lane bully, lane bully, lane bully, lane bully. Because top lane tends to be two lane bullies, that means that by the time they enter team fights, both of them scale worse and are weaker than if they were actually trying to play to scale and to reach late game. Does everybody get that? Okay. So this plays into why we're seeing so many safe picks, so many picks that don't rely on gold, so many picks like that. Okay. Time Warp Tonic, and this of course plays off the Biscuit nerf. This was Time Warp Tonic and Biscuit were both being nerfed back to back to back. Yeah. The bonus movement speed was reduced from 4% to 2% in 12.14. And another one of, and I'm not, you guys think I'm joking, but you keep seeing that Riot in Season 12 took a big issue with top lane having any ability to play safe, having any ability to scale. They seem to have this big issue with it. Like, Season 12 happened, and Riot just, their eyes just started shooting red, and they were like, that man, why is he not playing entirely for the laning phase? Why must he's trying to scale in top lane? And they just stabbed and stabbed and stabbed and stabbed over and over and destroyed top lane. So, Season 8, it was added. And then in Season 12, it was decided it was massively overpowered and had to be obliterated. Just to be clear, by the way, the bonus movement speed being nerfed meant that melee options who went with Biscuit, such as Jax, now had a significantly harder time dealing with ranged champions because they couldn't guarantee that they had enough movement speed to run them down in the laning phase. Because they couldn't go with choices like Time Warp Tonic Biscuit because other champions couldn't go with things like Second Wind. This meant that ranged champions who scale worse but obviously win the lane harder, they became significantly more consistent and were able to win the lane a lot more and drive the lane more into an early game and drive the lane into less interesting. Conqueror. Now, while, okay, I do agree, people can argue that Conqueror was overpowered, underpowered, whatever. If there's anything that we can understand from the arena mode, it's that without Conqueror, boy, there are a lot of bruisers that are not good anymore. We're seeing Darius, we see Mord, and don't mention Paladin Mord, it's a meme, it's no good at all. We see these champions that, let's be blunt, let's just say it like it is, these champions basically do no damage early game without Conqueror. To be blunt, the reason Conqueror is so strong is so that these bruiser champions, these juggernauts, can actually beat the crap out of people early game and not just be stat checked by their ranged counterparts. So the problem is Riot has balanced bruisers on Conqueror. They did. They balanced bruisers on Conqueror. We could all agree on that. We all know that that's true. Okay? So every time Riot nerfed Conqueror, they made bruisers weaker. And we can see Season 10. So when was the last nerf before Season 10? Okay. So Season 9, it got updated. Season 10, then it got nerfed. Then Season 10, it got nerfed. Then Season 11, it got nerfed. Since Season 11, it got nerfed. Boy, there does seem to be a correlation between Riot repeatedly nerfing Conqueror and top lane's popularity waning, and bruisers in top lane getting picked less, and ranged bullies in top lane going whoop. Okay, up next we have Grasp the Undying. Grasp the Undying, you might say, but it did get nerfed, unfortunately. During the durability update, it was nerfed. Now, I'm not even counting that one. During the durability update, people did get more health. They did get more health baseline. So it stood to reason that, let's be fair, if everyone has more health, particularly in the early game, then Grasp the Undying should probably have less healing and damage. That's fine. Unfortunately, then for some reason in Season 13, in this season, Riot decided, boy, after healing for 2% of your health, for 2% of your health for how many years? 7 years? For healing for 2% of your health for 7 years, it has now become an issue. And we need to nerf the healing to 1.2. And after dealing 4% health damage for 7 years, 3.5. Best they can do, 3.5. So whether or not you want to admit it, whether or not you want to, in your soul, accept it, whether or not you want to open your heart to top lane and accept it inside of you. Grasping and Dying was randomly nerfed for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Because a top laner woke up, got hit by a Grasping and Dying Scion, and after the rune working the same way for 7 years, today he woke up upset. What was he upset about? I don't know. I would like to understand from a writer's perspective what they were so mad that day. Why that day? Why after 7 years did you wake up and decide to yourself, man, fuck Grasp of the Undying?
That spell isn't ready.
Aftershock. Effective removal, in quotes. Why would I say effective removal? Because back in Season 9, and I am listing this, Aftershock was effectively removed from its ability to be chosen top lane by nerfing it really, 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 really hard in the early game. Aftershock ceased to be an effective choice for top laners after this nerf. It was only for junglers and sometimes support from now on. So effectively, tank top laners had their choices reduced from Aftershock and Grasp and Dying to only Grasp and Dying, and also now Grasp and Dying got nerfed. So when I talk about they still go Grasp and Dying, so it must be good, I'm saying, well, they're only going Grasp and Dying because their other choice was literally removed when they reworked it. So unfortunately, this plays into exactly what I keep talking about. Glacial Augment, effective removal. Now, Glacial Augment is still in the game, but let's be blunt, it is a different rune. If you remember, what is this thing called? Glacial Augment used to be a 40 to 50% slow. It was then buffed to a 45 to 50% slow. And then it was removed back in Season 11 and changed into what it is now. This was effectively a removal. There were champions that did go Glacial Augment in order to beat ranged champions. There were champions that did that. We saw that picked on champions like Jack sometimes. We saw that on Illaoi. And they did go Glacial Augment, and they did use it to beat down ranged champions. So once again, we had another option. Another choice for top laners was removed. So Aftershock has been removed. Glacial Augment has been removed. Top laners then decide mostly to choose Conquer and Grasp and Dying, to which Riot then nerfs those several times. So, do you understand the issue here? I hope I'm trying to make this clear, because it was not one thing. I assure you, it has never been one problem that has made top lane this way. It has been years and years and years and years of treating top lane as an expendable source of free anger management. That anytime you get mad, you could go nerf something out of top lane, and well, I mean, if you nerf one item, it doesn't kill the lane. If you nerf one keystone, it doesn't kill the lane. If you nerf one rune, it doesn't kill the lane. If you nerf a champion, it doesn't kill the lane. But what I'm trying to say here is all of this, and I keep repeating this because I will continue to say it every time I go over this. All these changes have added together, and they have made top lane go from the most played role to almost the least played. Summoner spells, teleport. Do I really need to go over teleport? Do I have to? I'm not going to, but let's be blunt here, okay? With the buffs to plate gold, teleporting bot lane, even at the 10-minute mark that they've given it now they let you teleport bot lane at 10 minutes. Even then, I would argue is often just not worth it, because teleporting bot lane and getting a kill, or even two, to help your team, with turret plates being buffed so much, you can often find yourself in a position where you are now weaker. Kill gold, kill XP has been reduced. Plate gold has been buffed. because of these things,
That's still
leaving top
recharging.
lane,
That
and this
spell
is an
is
issue with
limited.
top lane, leaving your lane and letting your opponent get these things will cause you to lose the game. You can teleport bot lane and you can get your ADC an assist or even a kill. You don't guarantee that your AD carry can carry, that's on them. But meantime, you've allowed their top laner to free farm and get fed. And the problem is some characters can actually win by being fed in top lane. Top lane does not always get fed, and I'm not saying that top lane can win the game while fed. I'm just saying that all these nerfs to teleport and now restricting it to 10 minutes, I'm just saying this little bone that they've thrown to top lane. Hey guys, look, here's a teleport, have at it, right? Like, it just, at 10 minutes, it can often be too late to even change the game. And it can literally just be at the point where your only hope of potentially carrying is to keep your opponent from getting fed, and teleporting bot lane lets them get fed. 10 minutes, your bot lane could be 0-7. You think 2 kills is going to change the game? You teleport bot lane, you get your bot lane 2 kills, that changes the game? No, actually. And that's even if you can get 2 kills. If you teleport bot lane and you just help prevent a dive, great, you've helped prevented a dive, and now their top laner is ahead of you. Now you have 3 losing lanes.
I can't cast
Ghost.
that yet. That's
Recently,
still
this one
recharging.
just happened. This literally just happened. The duration was increased to 15 from 10, but the duration was no longer increased upon scoring a takedown. Now, while you could argue whether or not this was a buff or a nerf, Riot clearly intended. Their intent with this change was to be a nerf. They intended that. They did not care that it nerfed top laners. They did not care about that. They just didn't want to nerf it on ranged champions. They could very easily have just nerfed it on ranged champions. Instead of 24 to 48% movement speed, ranged champions get 16 to 30%. Ta-da! It's now significantly weaker on ranged champions. Top laners haven't been affected. But they didn't do that, did they? They did not care. They did not in any way give any shits in any way about how this impacted top lane. Darius can snowball worse? They don't care. Olaf can snowball worse? They don't care. They truly could not give a single shit. They could not give the tiniest little fuck as to how top lane reacted to this change. They were expendable. Top lane was just a civilian in front of the tank that is Riot's balance. Top lane said, hey man, I don't think it's cool if you're...
I can't cast that yet.
Up
That's
next,
still
we have
recharging.
Doran Shield. I had to categorize this. I had so many nerfs for items, from bruiser items, and so many removal of bruiser items, that I literally
can't loot
had to categorize it in only early game nerfs on bruisers. Up first, we have Doran Shield. Doran Shield health regen was nerfed from 6 to 4. Now, to be clear, it was in that way for 3 years. For 3 years, Doran Shield worked the way that it worked. Unfortunately, and this was almost a full year after the durability update, so don't say, oh, this is because of the durability update. It wasn't. This was a full year afterwards. Okay? I just want to keep people's perspective on this one, okay? Riot wanted pro play to be bloody. And what did they say? Once
That
again,
isn't ready yet.
top
I
laner,
can't cast that yet.
over here. Hey man, I know you want pro play to be bloodier, but could you maybe do that in a way that doesn't screw over top laners? We really need this in order to try to... Riot doesn't care. Riot doesn't give a shit. Refillable potions. Oh, you know what joke is coming. Hey Riot, we teleport back to lane and we use the refillable potions to try to survive against ranged champions. Please don't just do this because you want pro play to be bloodier. We want...
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet.
Phage, no longer a component. Now this one, I struggled on whether or not I wanted to list it, but I felt in the end that it was important enough to list. Phage had historically been attempted to be an early game bruiser item. Okay? Now, the problem is, it was not always a good bruiser item, but they had finally made it a good bruiser item for the early game, particularly to survive against ranged characters. It built into Divine Sunder, Gore Drinker, and Steric's Gauge. It gave 15 attack damage, 200 HP, and whenever you dealt physical damage, you healed for 2% of your health over 6 seconds. It was a good way to trade with other champions, it was a good way to keep your health up, and it was overall a very good item for top laners to get through the laning phase. Randomly as
The Brackwells
fuck,
have a prize-winning pig,
Riot
Princess.
decided in
The
season
sow is
12,
huge, and
always
she got that way
season
from
12,
sneaking over here
that
and eating my
no,
veggies. So before she comes to our fields,
you can't have a good early game item to survive.
Bring me her
You're
card.
not
Well,
allowed to. Season 12 is when Riot said, no, 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 no. You're not allowed to survive the laning phase against tough laning phase champions. No. Always season 12 with them. Always season 12 with them. And it was removed as a build component from Divine Sunder and Gore Drinker. So these two items now had weaker item builds. They now had a more difficult time building into them. You can argue whether or not it was needed. I don't care. You can argue that. That's fine. Argue it all you want. I don't care. It doesn't affect me. The blunt fact of the matter is Riot intended it to be a nerf, and it was a nerf. I'm gonna dislocate something in my hand. Yeah. Triple bead start. Now this one is something that I did not struggle to list. Who is the highest health regen in the game? If you're not stupid, you're gonna answer bruisers, right? Everyone's gonna answer bruisers. Of course you are. Of course you are. Because you're not an idiot. You know bruisers have the highest base health regen in the game. So who did triple bead start? Bruisers, obviously. Why would anyone else do it? It increases your base health regen, so obviously bruisers are gonna go it, right? We all understand that, right? So you go triple bead. That's 450 gold in health regen, then 50 extra gold. This allows you to try to survive against ranged champions who harass you non-stop. What did Riot decide? In season 12? In season 12, I can't do it again because my hand actually hurt after that one. I'm not gonna lie to you. In season 12, a writer woke up one day. His girlfriend had just left him. He went to go watch his favorite show, Westworld, and he realized this show sucks. Why did I try to watch it again? There was only one option available to him. He Googled, how do I lane top lane against ranged champions? He took out his notepad. Every single suggestion anyone had to try to survive ranged top laners, he wrote down. He called it the Death Note.
I can teach you how
Every single strategy, every single one of them that anyone had to survive against ranged champions, it went in the Death Note. And season 12, they obliterated all of top lane's ability to survive, to play safe, to not die. They meticulously, in the sort of autistic rage that only someone who can actually track information this well could accomplish. In that sort of way, they actually killed, I promise you, this will continue. They destroyed everything, every ability, every option to try to stay alive in top lane.
things on her. friend.
Raptor's Cloak removal. Raptor's Cloak was an item.
Welcome to my inn, weary traveler.
Was.
What can I do for you?
What did it do? Well, it wasn't that big a deal. It built out of a rejuve bead. It had 30 armor, and it gave you movement speed when you were near a turret. Was it popular? Not really. Was it built? Sparingly. What did it do? We did a triple bead start. You could go into Raptor's
Hey
Cloak.
there. Have a good one.
heart goes out
There's
to
more
those
health
who
regen,
were
there's some
Maybell
armor,
and
there's some
Tommy
movement
Joe.
speed.
I
Good way to
remember
survive
being young
against
and in
ranged
love
champions.
once.
Good
There
way
must
to
be
try to
something
keep
I
your
can do
health
to
bar
help them.
alive, avoid
Let me
dives.
think.
Good way to
I can
mitigate
make an
damage.
invisibility liquor for Maybell, so
Honestly,
she can slip away
not a
from the
bad
McClure
item.
Vineyards and go to
Removed from the
Tommy Joe.
game. Was
But
it
to make the
popular?
liquor,
Not
I need some
really.
crystal
Was it
kelp.
picked? Oh, of course it
Although the
was. On
kelp
champions like
usually
Darius
grows in
and
the
champions
ocean,
like Garen, they would
sometimes
go
Murlocs
early game
collect it.
Raptor's Cloak into difficult matchups to try to stay alive. So it was removed. This isn't a big deal, of course. Of all the things here, is this the most important? Probably not. Probably couldn't have not even made the list. But I remember. Oh, I remembered. I remember the day it was removed. I remember thinking to myself, boy, that was useful. That helped me not survive. For a mere 900 gold, I got good health regen, I got armor, and I got movement speed. That was a good item. That was an item that I liked. I liked going Raptor's Cloak. Did it screw over the game balance? No. And that's probably why they removed it. And that's probably why they didn't bring it back. Static Shiv, that screws over the game's balance. They brought it back. Raptor's Cloak, it helped you not die. Had to go. Up next, Spectre's Cowl nerfs. You're thinking to yourself, no, they didn't nerf Spectre's Cowl. That item sucks. They didn't nerf it. It's terrible. Why would they have nerfed it? Why would they have nerfed Spectre's Cowl? You're bullshitting me, Ishinshin. They didn't. They didn't nerf it. Sure, maybe 7 years ago, maybe. But not recently. There's no way. Ishinshin, there's no way. They didn't nerf Spectre's Cowl. They didn't. They didn't. They didn't. They wouldn't. Why would they? They didn't. I'm gonna let you sit on that for 1 second. I'm just gonna go stretch. Did they? Just tell me. Do you remember? Did they? Did they recently? And for what reason would they have done it? You were expecting a grand entrance, weren't you? But you thought about it. You thought about it a lot, didn't you? You thought about it. When? Season 10. For literally no reason. In Season 10, they made Spectre's Cowl 50 more gold. Not because the items got more expensive. They just made the combined cost higher. They didn't address the stats. They didn't change anything about the item. Nothing about this item changed even slightly. But Adaptive Helm got removed and Spectre's Cowl went up 50 gold. Why? Literally, why? Could someone at Riot answer me this? Why? What did it do to you? It was just an item. What pissed you off this day? What happened in your life? Did your favorite bartender not come into work? Did the cute barista quit and you didn't see her that morning? What happened? What happened? Did your friends find another friend and you were the fifth friend and you weren't invited out to play Deep Rock Galactic? I truly don't know. Did prices go up? Is this inflation? Are we paying for inflation on Spectre's Cowl? This is one of the weakest items in the game. Why did it get nerfed? It makes no sense. Hex Drinker. Once again, a complicated item.
Don't
An
let
item.
the humans in the bazaar
I'm going
fool
to.
you,
I'm
lad.
going to
With
say
the
it this
subway
way.
those gnomes built, it's easier
If your
than you
argument
might
is
think
about to be,
transport goods
yes,
from
Hex Drinker was nerfed,
If
but
they
it's
try
still
to tack
strong,
on import fees, just
then
tell
you
them
just
they're gonna
said,
buy
yes,
your
Hex
gear
Drinker
from
was
you.
nerfed. Okay, end of discussion. We're done here. It was nerfed. It is now weaker. Many items could be nerfed and still be built. If Lord Dominic's went down by 5 gold, it would still be built. If Lord Dominic's went down by 10 gold, it would still be built. How do we know that? Because it has gained 10 gold, or say 10 damage over the last year. If it went down by 10 damage, if Lord Dominic went down by 10 damage, it would still be built. If it went down by 15 damage, it would still be built. If it went down by 20 damage, I guarantee you, it would still be built. Much more rarely, but yes, it would still be built. Hex Drinker is the
I
same
trust
way.
the light is with you,
Is it
adventurer?
still built?
Is there something that
Well,
I can help
yeah.
with?
As often as it
Excellent,
used to be.
adventurer.
Well,
With one more
no.
healthy guard out there to help the town, we'll be that much safer.
There.
I'm glad to see
There's
you're
your
already
answer,
learning
right
to
there.
use your abilities wisely.
Um,
If you feel you are ready for more training at any time, please come back to me.
Ta-da!
But for now, take this robe. It will let others
season
know that you are
5
one of our order. If you don't want to wear
Season
it, that's
5,
fine.
it has
Later,
less
there will be more
balance change.
tests, and
Then
this
in
robe isn't
season
necessary
10,
for
it was
those.
overpowered. Then in season 12, they nerfed it on ranged champions and buffed it on melee a little bit. Then in season 13, it was overpowered. Who knew? Okay. Iron Spike Whip. People forget this one. People forget how much Iron Spike Whip has been nerfed. We're gonna have to go down because, oh boy, it got nerfed so much. So in season 11, they nerfed it. It no longer dealt double damage to minions and monsters below 50%
still
health.
recharging.
You have to remember, Iron Spike Whip
can't
dealt
cast that.
double damage if the minion or monster was below half. This helped you last hit, and this allowed a lot of different champions to wave clear more consistently. Now, Riot didn't like that because it was used mid lane. People begrudgingly said, okay, I guess. Fine. Sure. Screw it. They weren't willing to argue with Riot. It was like, okay, fine. I guess Talon shouldn't wave clear, I guess. I don't know. Then in season 11, again, its combined cost was reduced by 100. Yay! And its cooldown went up by 5 to 20 seconds. Yay! In season 11, later on, it was then changed to base AD from total AD. To be clear to everybody watching this video, there is almost mathematically no way that it was buffed
Need help?
with this change at all by anyone at all. Literally, I shit you not, by just building the Iron Spike Whip, the vast majority of champions already had it be a damage nerf. Because
the light
you
is with
can't
you,
have
adventurer.
not built damage and
something
use
that I can
Iron Spike
help you
Whip because you have to build the Iron Spike Whip to use it with 30 damage. And when you do that, and when you account for runes, it was nerfed. So Iron Spike Whip, let's put it this way. Gore Drinker went from having 2 extremely good items building into it, Whip and Phage, to having none. Because Phage has been nerfed into the ground, where most people prefer not even to try to go it anymore. And Phage literally got removed from its build components. So, yeah, once again, that's a weaker laning phase. No longer able to jungle for gold and XP. Now this is one that I think a lot of people
That's
have
still
forgotten.
recharging.
What class of champions has the most ways to jungle that don't go in the jungle? I'll give you a hint, it's bruisers. Da da da! Now bruisers in this is also bruisers, fighters, divers, juggernauts, etc. That entire thing. Now you're saying to yourself, that's what are you talking about? You're an idiot. Bruisers don't jungle better than anyone else. You're stupid. Oh, but they do. And I'm gonna show you exactly what I mean.
That spell
Darius's
is I can't
bleed,
cast that
his
yet.
passive, deals 300% damage against monsters. Garen's Juggernaut. Dun 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 dun. Deals 150% damage against monsters.
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't.
Oh,
cast
I
that.
will, to prove my point, I will go on here for a while, because some of you don't actually understand how many damage modifiers bruisers have against the jungle that enabled them to clear jungle and to take extra camps and to scale better. Top laners got more gold because they could very, very easily and effectively clear the jungle. That's right, Decimating Smash deals 100% damage against monsters. Aatrox's Q. Oops. We gotta get it right in here because it's funny. Aatrox's Q. Despite having its bonus damage removed against monsters, it deals double knock-up to monsters. Meaning, yes, it's easy to stunlock monsters and take less damage from them and out-heal their damage. Well, not anymore, but it was easy to out-heal their damage and pick up free monster camps. I'll stop here because you're probably getting the point. Bruisers cleared the jungle very well. Better than any other class of champion. So what did Riot do? During the jungle update recently, they made it all large monster gold given to non-junglers has been reduced by 15 gold. All large monster experience given to non-junglers has been reduced by 15 experience. In addition to that, they made the jungle monsters deal significantly more damage and made it so the jungle now just heals junglers on every single camp. So top laners trying to clear the jungle for extra gold now take more damage to get less gold to get less experience. No matter how you slice it, that is a nerf to top lane. That makes top lane less capable of carrying because they can't do camps as easily anymore to pick up gold. Now let's look at their mythic item nerfs. Gore Drinker. Do I even need to mention Gore Drinker? I hope I don't. I hope I don't need to, but I will just for the sake of argument here. Back in Season 11, removed unique passive Spite. No longer grants 0 to 15% of your AD as bonus AD. This was removed. Since Season 11, Gore Drinker has never been an effective item again. Additionally, they gave it Omnivamp. Now, here's the problem with Omnivamp. Can I find the can I find like a thing on Omnivamp? Here we go. Omnivamp is reduced to 33% effectiveness for area damage or damage dealt by pets. Do you know, off the top of your hand, potentially, what class primarily deals damage by abilities that are mostly AoE? Da-na-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na. Bruisers, obviously. Like, we all know that, right? Like, it's shocker, big surprise, whoopee. Garen does damage with Judgment, AoE. Aatrox does damage with Q, AoE. Riven does damage with her Q and her W stun and her, I guess, some auto attacks. Yeah, sure, auto attacks and AoE. Jeez, I mean, the few bruisers that don't AoE abuse Omnivamp, sure. Camille, Irelia, who's the other one? I'll just say that, right? But I mean, you look at Illaoi, Q, AoE, Tentacles, AoE, Mord's Q, AoE. Although if you single target it, it does count as single target, which is why Riftmaker was almost good enough for Mord to continue to use it. Almost, not quite though. Point of the story, point I'm trying to make here is Riot seemed to think that I think I dropped Gore Drinker on accident. I accidentally closed the Gore Drinker window. Riot seemed to think that Gore Drinker gaining Omnivamp was some huge buff that definitely made up for it, and I don't think they literally understand their own game. I think they literally don't get their own game, and I don't think they realize that Omnivamp, I mean, to put this into perspective for everyone, to really hammer this home, if Set hit a 5-man W and his W dealt 2,000 damage to all 5 people, boom, 2,000, boom, 2,000, boom, 2,000, boom, 2,000, Boom, 2000. Insane. He would heal to full. Well, no. He wouldn't. Would he? He would heal for 333. Really let that sink in. Really, really just savor that number. If he hit a 5-man W for 10,000 damage because he hit all 5 of them for 2,000, he would heal for 333. Stridebreaker. Now, do I need to mention Stridebreaker? I hope I don't, but once again, I'm going to have to because I don't know how many of you are in complete denial. In Season 11, Stridebreaker was reworked. Now, it is fair that it got reworked. I agree. The rework was a good idea. The rework when they removed the dash. Which one was that? In Season 11, when they removed the dash, well, whenever they did that. Was that this one? Yeah, this one. Sorry, I need to remember. Back in Season 11, when they removed the dash, that was a good decision. That was a good choice. That was a good idea. Unfortunately, it was then nerfed really goddamn hard because of champions like Nocturne, which, let's be blunt, shouldn't have surprised anybody. Nobody should have been surprised by that one. Not one person should have went, the person who uses Stridebreaker really well and doesn't need the dash might do better when it doesn't have a dash and gets buffed for it. Wow, I'm shocked. Wow, that's insane. I didn't see, not one person in the entire game should ever have been surprised by that. Only the dumbest motherfuckers could have been surprised by that. That is why Riot was surprised by that. So they had to nerf it. But they nerfed it so hard that they basically had to go back and buff every single bruiser who used it. And we've seen nothing but Darius buffs and Garen buffs since. So I do agree. It should have been nerfed originally. But the item as it exists now is so mediocre. Even after its buffs, it's so... It's so... 60 damage is good. 20 ability haste is good. 20 attack speed is okay. 300 health is not a lot. 3,300
Though
gold
this Wildborn
is a
is
lot.
tough. Simmer it enough
A
and it
mere
sure does make this a tasty
175%
pie.
base AD on
Here you
hit.
go. And
So
when you
less
give this
than a
pie to that
single
Billy,
Trinity
you tell him
proc.
I hope he chokes on it.
A 40% slow. A mythic passive of only 2% movement speed. That's all it does, 2% movement speed. Movement speed, which a lot of bruisers don't even really need because they have so many
That's
gap
still
closers.
recharging.
You think Aurelia needs movement speed? You think Aatrox needs movement speed? Who needs it? Darius and Garen? Except then when Darius and Garen can move
Inventory is
quickly,
full.
Riot fucking breaks the nerf Dead Man's Plate
carry
hammer
anymore.
glass thing. Then somehow Dead Man's Plate gets nerfed again. Dead Man's Plate's sitting there. They haven't done anything bad in its life. Dead Man's Plate never did anything wrong. It's sitting there. It's minding its business. No one cares about it. It's at the beach. It's having a good time. It's on vacation. And in its eye, you see the reflection. A rioter is jumping out of a plane. He has a gun. He is shooting Dead Man's Plate for no reason. Again. It is 300. Dead Man's Plate is down to 300 health, people. It needs help. Please. Someone start a charity. We will go over Dead Man's Plate later. Divine Sunderer. Once again, I will agree. Divine Sunderer did need to be nerfed. However, a nerf is a nerf. Can we agree on that? If top lane gets weaker, then top lane gets weaker. Right? Can we all agree on that? It's if top lane gets weaker, then top lane gets weaker. If Divine Sunderer is weaker, then top lane is weaker. Okay? So there's no argument here, in my opinion. If top lane gets weaker, then top lane gets weaker. Yes, okay, fine. Is Divine Sunderer still built? Yes. Is it still good? Yes. Is it weaker? Yes. Once again, if Lord Dominic's Regard went down 10 damage, it would be where it was last year. If it went down another 10 damage and was fairly balanced at a meager 15 damage, would it be at 15? If it was balanced down there at 15 damage, would people still build it? Yes. Would it be too weak? Probably. Probably not. But people would still build it. Do you understand my point? When you nerf an item that's the only choice for a class, a sub-spec of champions, right? They are weaker. Is Jax weak? Not really. But did nerfing Divine Sunderer make him weaker? Yes. Did it make Camille weaker? Yes. Did it make all the champions who made it and built it weaker? Yes. Do you get the problem here? You can't say top lane isn't getting weaker and then look at all the examples of it getting weaker and
Spell
say
isn't ready yet. I can't cast
those don't
that.
count.
That's still recharging.
Because they do count. Obviously, they do. We're not tracking a feels metric. We're not camping how it feels. I know we buff 80 carries if they feel bad, but this is the reality of the situation. Top lane has been getting all its mythics nerfed into the ground. Well, that's not true. What about Oof. Sunfire was effectively removed from the game. The old Sunfire, which gave 35 armor, 35 magic resist, 450 health, 5% tenacity, 5% slow resist, 50 bonus HP on the mythic passive, scaling, magic, AoE damage that doubled if you sat next to people. That got removed from the game. It got replaced with jack shit. Get it? Because it got replaced by jack shit, right?
I supply
All
only
right.
the finest
Mentioning
goods.
jack shit. You know what tanks have to build that feels good? Jack shit. It's okay. They'll just keep continuing to buff tanks until they feel better. Jack shit. So, I mean, do we need to go over this one? Do we actually have to? Does some of you think to yourself, well, I mean, it doesn't count because you actually Hecarim and, well, it doesn't. Yeah, let's be real. People that build jack shit feel like they built jack shit. I will continue to make this joke because it's true. Because this item is jack shit. Build this item and you'll know what I mean. Sunfire's sitting there like, oh God, where am I gonna put all this survivability? Jack Show's like, I have less armor and I have less magic resist. I also have less health. I don't really do any damage either. My mythic passive gives me 5 armor and magic resist. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Has anyone ever thought to themselves, oh man, building jack shit made me feel so good. God, I love this item. Eclipse. Okay, so once again, is Eclipse good now? Yes, I will still agree Eclipse is good. We could all agree on that one, okay? The problem is, did it get nerfed? Yes. Is it still built? Well, yeah. Eclipse had its stats, geez, every time it got even decent, it got nerfed. I mean, there's too many to list. It got nerfed here, it got nerfed here. They finally reworked it here. Blunt fact of the matter is, it did. It got nerfed all the time, and it's weaker. It's obviously weaker. It's still good, obviously, but much like Divine Sunderer, if top lane items get weaker, then it gets weaker, right? Can we all agree on that? Like, that's just how it works. It doesn't, like, the thing is, no matter what you do, top lane will have a 50% win rate, because one top laner will always win the game. You can never end up in a situation where both top laners lose. But we have ended up in a situation where it feels like both top laners are losing. And that's because top lane's power just keeps going.
It's too far
Every
away.
time a rider goes to the supermarket and their favorite cereal isn't there, they go, "No, my Lucky Charms! Bring me a list of viable bruiser mythics. I'll teach them."
Goodbye.
What's the next bruiser mythic removed or nerfed? Radiant Virtue. This one got, well, I mean, let's be blunt, effectively removed. What happened to Radiant Virtue? Riot woke up one morning and they said to themselves, "Radiant Virtue is a support item now." And every top laner said, "What?" And they said, "It's a support item. It's a support item now. In 13.10, it's a support item. It's existed in the game for 10 patches, which is 5 months. And now it's a support item. You should have given me my Lucky Charms." And, Radiant Virtue got nerfed. It had its gold adjusted downward, its health adjusted downward, its ability haste adjusted downward, its heal, adjusted downward, the heal per tick adjusted downward, the mythic passive adjusted downward. So it could be a support item.
Can't cast that yet.
Okay. Top lane item nerfs. This one will take a while. Death's Dance. Do we need to argue this? Once again, say it with me. Did it get nerfed? Yes. Then it got weaker? Yes. Is it still built? Probably. But it got weaker? Yes. If top lane's power level is here, top lane is a 50% win rate. If top lane's power level is here, it is a 50% win rate. If top lane's power level is here, it has a 50% win rate. If top lane got kicked off the fucking team and both teams played a 4v4, the goddamn spectator would still have a 50% win rate. Everybody get it? It went from 175% bonus AD healing to 140% bonus AD healing to 50% bonus AD healing. Less, I count it, less than a third of how much it used to heal. Less than a third. Less than a third. Okay. Sturg's Gauge. Let's go over Sturg's Gauge. Do we really need to go over Sturg's Gauge? I'll sing it a song. I'm running out of ways to make this funny. Let's try this one. There once was an item that healed your champion and gave you a big shield with lots of damage. Then a rider didn't get his Lucky Charms and they fucking stabbed it to death. They stabbed it to death. They stabbed it to death. It was a good item, then it got stabbed to death. It's not very good. They keep buffing it, but ask yourself, have you seen it lately? So it just got buffed again.
Hello, tubes.
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. Inventory is full. That spell isn't ready yet. That is still recharging.
Thanks for watching, y'all. That was a fun one. That's a
That spell isn't ready yet.
guitar sound on the ski.
I can't
I'm
cast that
having fun.
yet. That's still recharging.
No lie, I probably played on that for about 4 hours. So it's not 100% improv, but it's a lot of fun to mess with. Thanks, y'all. CD sales are still going really, really well. Thanks a ton for checking out my older CD. I'm working hard on my
Can't
next
carry
one.
anymore.
Hope to release it this summer. Peace out.
Inventory is full. Can't carry anymore. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. Inventory is full. I can't carry anymore. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't pass that yet. Inventory is full. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't pass that yet. I can't carry anymore.
Oh, you found it. Thank you, dear. Here, take this. It was my husband's, and he always said it was lucky. If only he didn't forget it on his last campaign. Asterisk, sniff, asterisk.
Thanks for the dust. Here's your cash, and here is a token from associates of mine. Might find it useful.
Adventurer, there's a new threat in Elwyn Forest. Murlocs are swimming up the streams of eastern Elwyn, scaring away fish and attacking gentlefolk. I warned Marshal Dugan, but he's more worried about the gnolls and the bandits. He's not convinced that the Murlocs are a danger. Please, adventurer, speak to Dugan and persuade him to send more troops to the east.
This is bad news. What's next, Dragons? We'll have to increase our patrols near that mine. Thanks for your efforts, adventurer. And hold a moment. I might have another task for you. Thanks to you, we know the Fargo Deep Mine is infested with kobolds. Now we need a scout to investigate the more distant Jasper Lode mine. Explore Jasper Lode and confirm any kobold presence. To reach the mine, travel east along the road until you reach the Tower of Azora. From the tower, head north and you'll find the mine in the foothills. Yes, I spoke with Remy. I respect him as a merchant, though all reports of Murlocs to the east have been sketchy at best. Your concerns are noted, but unless I receive a military report of a Murloc threat, we can't afford to send more troops east. If you are concerned that the rumors of Murlocs are true, then do this. Travel to the Eastern Elwyn Bridge and speak with Guard Thomas. He has been stationed at the bridge for the past week and will know the state of the area. Bring me his report. You were busy hunting kobolds, were you? Thanks for the candles, adventurer, and here's your reward. My brother Morgan is waiting in Stormwind for my shipment of candles. I don't have enough time to make the trip myself, but if you'd like to take him the shipment, he'll pay you well. I've packed up the candles, and you can find Morgan in our shop, Pessel's Apothecary, in the Stormwind Trade District. Welcome to the Bank of Stormwind. We offer financial accounts and safety deposit boxes for valuable items. Do you already have an account with us, ma'am?
Can I call you baby? Can you be my friend? Can you be my lover up until the very end? Let me show you love, and I don't pretend. Stick by my side even when the world is giving in. Don't you worry, I'll be there whenever you want me. I need somebody who can love me at my worst. No, I'm not perfect, but I hope you see my worth. 'Cause it's only you, nobody knew I put you first. And for you, boy, I swear I'll do the worst. If you stay forever, let me hold your hand. I can feel those spaces in your heart no one else can. Let me show you love, oh I don't pretend. I'll be right here, baby, you know I'll sink or swim. Don't you worry, I'll be there whenever swear I'll do the worst.
I trust the light is with you, adventurer. Is there something that can I help you with?
Ain't never felt this way. Can't get enough, so stay with me. It's not like we got big plans. Let's drove around town holding hands. And you need to know you're the only one. Alright, alright. And you need to know that you keep me up all night, all night. Oh, my heart hurts so good. I love you, baby, so bad, so bad. Oh, my heart hurts so good. I love you, baby, so bad, so bad. Mad going on my clothes. Mad warm when you get close to me. Slow dance these summer nights. Our disco balls my kitchen light. And you need to know if nobody could take your pace, your pace. And you need to know that I'm hella obsessed with your face, your face. Oh, my heart hurts so good. I love you, baby, so bad, so bad. Oh, my heart hurts so good. I love you, baby, so bad, so bad.
That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging.
And you need to know you're the only one. Alright, alright. And you need to know that you keep me up all night.
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet.
My soul, taste my life for my breath. Spend my time lost in space. Am I dead? Oh, let the river
That's still recharging.
through my callous hands and take me from my own the eyes overturned. It makes my stomach turn. It tears my flesh from bone. How we turn our dream to stone, and we all die.
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet.
Oh, tell me I know I live so
That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging.
we cry alone with words left unsaid. It makes my stomach turn. It tears my flesh from bone. How we turn this dream to stone, and we
That's still recharging.
yeah, we all
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging.
Yeah, we all die young. Yeah, we all die young. Yeah, we all die young.
That spell isn't
Yeah,
ready
we
yet.
all die.
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet.
I can't pass that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging.
Wait no more.
You need something?
You got it. Good show. Now just one moment while I concoct the potion.
Good day to you.
Take this invisibility liquor to young Maybelle. It should last long enough for her to visit Tommy Joe.
It's very difficult to keep the line between the past and the present. You know what I mean? The awful.
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't pass that yet. That's still recharging.
You need something? Oh, my. I feel guilty deceiving my family, but my feelings for Tommy Joe are too strong to ignore. Thank you, adventurer. I'll drink this liquor as soon as I...
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. I need to get closer. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging.
told you things I did before, told you how I used to be. Would you go along with someone like me? If you knew my story word for word, had all of my history, would you go along with someone like me? I did before and had my share. It didn't lead nowhere. I would go along with someone like you. It doesn't matter what you did, who you were hanging with. We could stick around and see this night through. And we don't care about the young folks talking about the outside. And we don't care about the old folks talking about the old style too. And we don't care about the wrong folks talking about our own style. All we care about is talking over me and you. Usually when things has gone this far, people tend to disappear. No one wants to price me.
What can I do for you?
Yes, Murlocs have settled in and around the streams of eastern Elwyn. We don't know why they are here, but they are aggressive and at least semi-intelligent.
A few days ago, we sent 2 guards, Rolf and Malachi, to investigate along the river, and they have not yet returned. To complete my report, I must know what happened to those men. Travel north along the river and find the guards, or their remains. Hail, adventurer. Wild animals are growing more and more aggressive the farther we get from Goldshear, and the Eastvale logging camp suffers nearly constant attacks from wolves and bears. We could use your help out here.
And we don't care about the old folks talking about the old style too. And we don't care about
I can't pass that. That's still recharging. I can't pass that. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging.
got a real problem on my hands. I have a deadline looming for an order of lumber, and I'm running out of time. The wolves and bears north of here have chased my workers away from the bundles of wood that they've already chopped. I've already talked to Deputy Rayner about clearing the bundles. I need someone to go collect the wood for me. If you could collect 8 bundles of wood for me, I might just make my deadline.
recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. still recharging.
Looks to me you've seen quite a bit of combat in your time, adventurer. If you haven't already, you should report to Brian Stoutmantle. He heads up the People's Militia aimed at protecting the farmlands of Westport. I bet he could use your help. You can usually find him in the stone tower on Sentinel Hill just off the road in the middle of Westport.
Safe travels.
King's honor, friend. Excellent. Thanks to you, I should be able to complete the order in time. To show my gratitude, I would like to offer some coin as compensation for your troubles. Thank you and farewell.
Well met. Marshal Dugan of Malachi and Rolf's deaths and report to him that the Murlocs of Eastern Elwyn cannot be contained by our current troop presence. I know we don't have many troops to spare, but hopefully Dugan can find someone. Thanks a lot for the help, adventurer. Something in the forest must be making these animals so bold. Whatever it is, I hope it stays there.
I can't pass that bridge. That's still recharging. That spell is permanent. I can't pass that bridge. That's still recharging. That spell is permanent. It's too far away. That's still recharging. I can't pass that. That's still recharging. Get closer. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet.
Squeaky swings and tall
I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet.
the longest shadows ever cast. Water's warm and children swim, and we frolicked about in our summer skin. I don't recall a single care, just greenery and humid air. Then Labor Day came and went, and we shed what was left of our summer skin.
I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that
On
yet.
the night
That's
you
still
left,
recharging.
I came over, and we peeled the freckles from our shoulders. Our brand new coats were so flushed and pink, and I knew your heart I couldn't win. 'Cause the seasons change was a conduit, and we'd left our love in our summer skin.
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet.
Light be with you. Ah, these are nice bandanas, if a little rough. Here you are.
Greetings.
Light be with you.
God bless you.
I can train you in first aid techniques. I trust the light is with you, adventurer? Is there something that I help you with?
Kobolds at the Jasper Lode mine, you say? Curses. The situation is worsening by the minute. Thank you for the report, adventurer. But I wish that the news you brought was good news. This news is troubling. Already our defenses are stretched thin, and losing Rolf and Malachite to those Murlocs put us in an even worse position. If things don't improve, there will be fighting in Goldshire by the week's end. For your shrewdness and valor, I have a marker here that is good for one piece of armor. I want you to take it to Sarah Timberlane at the Eastvale logging camp. Give her the marker, and she will fashion the armor for you. And after you receive it, adventurer, use it in the defense of Elwyn. The Eastvale logging camp is beyond Guard Thomas's post to the east.
The garrison on our western border sends word of increasing gnoll and thief activity. They're requesting we send more Stormwind soldiers, but we just don't have any to spare. If you can help, we could use it. Go and speak with Deputy Rayner at the Westbrook Garrison and see what he needs done. The garrison is down the road to the west. After you cross the bridge over the small brook, it will be to the right.
There's a dwarven weaponsmith in Stormwind, Grimmond Elmore, who sent word that he needs help with a delivery. I believe he wants a package sent to his homeland in the north. You have a sturdy pair on you, so if you're interested in some legwork, then speak with Grimmond. We could use you down here, but we must also keep our ties strong with the dwarves. You can find Grimmond Elmore at the weapon shop in the Dwarven district of Stormwind in the northeast section of town.
Welcome to the Bank of Stormwind. We offer financial accounts and safety deposit boxes for valuable items. Do you already have an account with us, ma'am?